Good morning, everybody. At first, I would like to welcome you all on behalf of Patna Homeopathic Medical College in general and myself in particular on this grand occasion of your first exposure in the class of pathology. Again, I would like to extend best compliments from core of my heart in favor of your bright future. Friends, I am here to help you in understanding pathology whose importance in medical life can be assumed by memorizing the prophetic word of one of the eminent founder of modern medicine in late 19th century or early 20th century, Sir William Osler. He said, your practice of medicine will be as good as your understanding of pathology. You can imagine the importance of pathology for a medical man. We know that when we are concerned with the disease, the main objective, or you may say the only objective of the medical science, is to get rid of the organism from the disease. So, we must have the sound knowledge about the disease which is given by a study of the pathology. And that's why it is said that how much better your knowledge of pathology, you can produce yourself so much good therapist, physician or surgeon. In this sequence, we have to discuss one by one the different aspects which are essential to understand these meanings. And first of all, we shall undertake the definition of pathology. Observation of etymology reveals that the term pathology is derived from two Greek words, the pathos, that means suffering, and the logos, that means study. It means study of suffering. Depending upon the interpretation, the pathology may be defined as a scientific study of structural and functional disorder sufficient enough to experience suffering which appears as significance of the disease. It may also be said that pathology consists of the abnormalities that occurs in the normal anatomy or normal physiology during the disease condition of the body. The identification of such changes provides basis for the description of the disease condition, thus confirms the diagnosis. Considering all above facts, pathology may be defined as a scientific study of abnormalities occurring on anatomical and physiological level owing to diseased condition capable to constitute diagnosis of the disease. When we are here concerned with the disease, we must have a sound knowledge or clear conception about the disease, the health, the body. And in this regard, we have already gone through the terms in our organon till now. Though health has been described in many ways in different subjects, it is described in the practice of medicine, it is described in pathology, it is described in all other allied subjects. But till now, you are concerned with the organ under which you have given the information about the definition of health, and according to the knowledge given till this level, as you know, health has been defined in various ways by different workers, but most widely adopted view in the description of WHO, which says that a state of complete mental, physical and social well-being means the state of the health implies a well-being of the organism on mental, physical and social level. It means a condition when an individual is in a complete state of well-being, he is healthy. On the other hand, when we try to discuss or describe the disease, it is just when health is a state of well-being. The disease you can interpret disturbed and is the state of well-being. It means when the state of well-being is disturbed, it is a condition of disease. It means any deviation from the state of health or any deviation from the state of well-being on the mental, physical and social level will constitute the definition of disease. Now, to further interpret the terms of the pathology, we must memorize certain terminologies. As first of all, the person who is suffering is known as patient. The person who is affected by a disease is generally known as patient. Now the second thing is lesion. The characteristic change in the tissue and cell produced by the disease, either in an individual or experimental animal, are known as the lesion. This lesion is the next term which is essential to describe or disclose the different facts in regard to pathology. If such happens, this type of any change occurring in the normal condition of the body, in the normal state of the body tissue or organ, is denoted as pathological changes. That means the changes occurring in diseased tissue, which may be gross or microscopic. The gross change are observed with the naked eye, while that is called also macroscopic. Macro, large, it means which can be visualized, which can be observed by with the help of the naked eye. While if the certain changes occurring on the cellular or histological level, tissue level, that can be observed only with the help of microscope. And that's why it is called microscopic change. These both macro and microscopic changes comes under pathological changes. Now the other term is etiology. Etiology refers the causative factor, a factor which is responsible for causation of the disease. However, in this a gross change in idea in regard to the general science and particularly homeopathy slightly differs. But on the whole, the term etiology simply means the study of the cause, the factors which are held responsible for production of any disease condition, pathological conditions are known as etiological factor, and that is called etiology. Actually, etiology satisfies the sense of why of the disease, why this disease occurs. It is confirmed by the study or conception of the etiology. Again, we shall undertake the pathogenesis. Pathos, suffering, genesis, nirman, structure. To raise, to evoke. It means the term is composed of the part, the pathos means suffering and genesis means production. The mechanism by which the lesions are produced is termed pathogenesis of the disease. It means how of the disease. The etiology was why of the disease. Pathogenesis is how of the disease. How the disease occurred. As a result of this pathological condition, the features occurs which are known as symptoms. As per interpretation of organon of medicine under homeopathic discipline, the symptoms are said to be the outward manifestation of internal malady. And on these may be recognized as subjective and objective symptoms. The subjective symptoms, that means the ailments or the suffering which can only be realized by the patient, that is subjective. And on the other way, when the symptom can be observed by other person too, that is objective. That objective symptom is also known as sign. It means symptom is grossly divided into sign and symptom, which is under homeopathic point of view, it is called subjective and objective symptoms. Subjective symptom refers to the symptom which can only be perceived by the person, by the sufferer, and the objective which can be observed by others, including the physician. Now the other thing, that is the diagnosis. Clinical significance of the morphological and functional changes together with result of other investigations help to arrive at the conclusion about what is wrong. This conclusion is termed as diagnosis. It means the interpretation of what is wrong with the person and conception of the same is the counterpart or is the matter of diagnosis. You have done diagnosis, it means you have cleared up all those features which describes what is wrong behind it. And the next is the prognosis. Expectation about what is going to be happen in course of the disease process is called prognosis. And finally the treatment. The measures which can be taken for removal of the disease is called treatment. These measures can be further extended in so many ways that should be described later on. And according to the qualification of physician as taught under the section 3, 4, 5 of the organon as a qualification of physician, where the one important thing is the prevention. Prevention is said to be so much importance that it is called prevention is better than cure. When a person becomes diseased, he has to suffer to some extent, and afterward, doctor, physician, surgeon, whatsoever with the consult can relieve him from that condition. It means to some extent he has to suffer. But if we can prevent the condition occurring in the person, that is so good, so much so good for him. So, the prevention means what should be done to avoid any disease, or if occurred, then to avoid the complication. That is a large thing. If the disease is not occurred, it has to be prevented. If it occurs, its effect can be minimized. If it has produced the effect, rehabilitation can be imposed, and likewise. In this way, these are the few terms which are most common in regard to the ailing subjects. Now, in the sequence of understanding the medical science, as we undertaken the pathology, in the background, we must review some historical facts and certain pioneers in the field of medical science. History of medical science has been correlated with the concept of nature. At first, where the disease was thought to be curse from the god and cured under influence of the nature. In this sequence, you will find some article in our souvenir written by myself also. That was the 6th generation where homeopathy starts, and under which I have described the developmental stage as a generation of medical science, and that was at first the natural cure. The second was the path healing, and next Ayurveda, the modern medicine, the Unani, and ultimately the homeopathy. Here, at the very initial and ancient period, it was believed that disease is the curse of the god. Further advancement occurs in the form of the belief in magic for cure and effect of evil eye of the spirit. Towards them of priest through the prayer and sacrifices, and magician by magic power used to act as path healer. The link between medicine and religion became so firmly established throughout the world that the different societies developed the concept of their god and goddess of the healing, as mythological Greek had Asclepius, Apollo, as a principal god of healing, where the goddess Hygeia, the sister of Asclepius, was said to be goddess of cleanliness. Likewise, Dhanvantari, as the deity of the medicine in the Indian, or Mata Sitla Devi as the pox goddess. The ancient religious and magical belief was followed by the philosophical and rational approach to disease by the methods of observations. In this regard, the great Greek philosophers like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, these three main philosophers introduced philosophical concept to all natural phenomena. The real practice of medicine began with great Greek clinical genius Hippocrates. Hippocrates, during his lifetime, extending from 460 BC to 370 BC, he is regarded as the father of medicine, of modern medicine, which was non-orthodox system of the medicine. The system is also called conventional medicine. After Hippocrates, Greek medicine reaches Rome, now called Italy, which controlled Greek world after 146 BC and therefore dominated the field of development of medicine in ancient Europe. The books were written in Latin languages of countries included in ancient Roman Empire as Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, French and Greek languages have their origin from the Latin. Hippocratic teaching was propagated in Rome by Roman physicians, notably Cornelius Celsus. He was during 53 BC to 7 AD. Celsus first described the four cardinal signs of the inflammation, that is the rubor, tumor, calor and dolor. When the further class will be continued at that time, you will go through the chapter of inflammation, which is one of the most grave chapter in regard to pathology. And here, as a cardinal feature of any inflammatory condition, you will find the redness, pain, swelling, heat, and loss of function. And this was first described by Celsus. Unfortunately, no more knowledge or any information regarding his life is found. Certainly, it is said that he was the initial person who write more for the medicine in the first century. And next, the Claudius Galen. As you have heard about the Hahnemann homeopathy, may be said to be equivalent to Hippocrates as modern medicine. And the Farrington, his follower. Likewise, the next important milestone in the modern medicine is Claudius Galen. During the period 130 to 200 AD, Galen added various important work in the field of medicine. Following Hippocratic teaching, one of the most important work was postulation of humoral theory, later called Galenic theory. This theory suggested that the illness resulted from the imbalance between four humors of the body fluid, that is, blood, lymph, black bile, believed to be from the spleen, and the biliary secretion from the liver. Now, the Galen, you may visualize here the Galen, and the further the hypothesis of disequilibrium of the four elements constituting the body was called dhatus in ancient Indian medicine. Books compiled about 200 AD. This hypothesis simulates the Hippocratic doctrine as the described by Hippocrates in regard to concept of mechanism of the disease, to which he based on disequilibrium of the four basic humors, that is the water, air, fire and earth. Among ancient Indian books, one medicine, the following two are of the prime importance. The number one is the Charak Samhita. It is the finest document by Charak. The Charak, and the other important personality in this field was Sushrut. Next personality was Sushrut. He wrote the Sushrut Samhita. Here you can visualize that great saint who included about 700 plants for the purpose to derive medicine in his Sushrut Samhita. Both these, Charak and Sushrut, were teachers in Takshila University belonging to the medicine and surgery faculty, relatively the Charak in the medicine and the Sushrut in the surgery. At the end of medieval period, the field of medicine was marked by backward step, and the mythological and magical concept again enhanced. It has been exemplified by observing wild spread and devastating epidemics, which reverses the process of the rational thinking, again supernatural concept and divine punishment for sins. The dominant belief during this period was the life was due to influence of vital substance under the control of soul. This thought was called the theory of vitalism. Under this belief, dissection of human body was strictly forbidden, as that would mean hurting the soul. Though it is an erroneous concept, but on the other hand, this belief is signifying under the homeopathic concept in the form of conception of vital force and further changes to vital principles. Here, one thing is a little bit different than the other general concept, that homeopathy belief in the conception of God, and that is related to the soul and ultimately found in the organism. Now, when we observe the era of the further development in medical field, the backwardness of medieval period was followed by the revival of the learning by 15th century onwards. Some important stalwarts notable of that developments are, first and foremost, and it is also something strange in the sense that he was artist, Leonardo da Vinci. Being artist, his can say he has framed a milestone in the field of medical science by his portraits or his figures. Leonardo da Vinci, a famous Italian painter, undertaken the artwork and drawing of the human muscle, embryo and other body parts during his lifetime, that is 1452 to 1519. During this period, the medical science is indebted to Leonardo da Vinci. You have gone through the anatomy and you have found the most of the figures, most of the diagrams are composed or prepared by Leonardo da Vinci and A.K. Maxwell. And the most standard, the book which you have gone through, that is the Henry Gray. And the next, Vesalius. Dissection on the human body was restarted on executed criminals by Vesalius. His period was 1540 to 1564. The Gabriel Pallas was disciple of Vesalius, who described human oviduct during his lifetime. That was 1523 to 1562. And the Fabricius, during the same period, Fabricius discovered the lymphoid tissue around the intestine of the world, at present known as the bursa of Fabricius. Further, he popularized the practice of human anatomy dissection. Now, the one personality may be said to be the basis, among the basis, and that the Leeuwenhoek Hoek. He was a cloth merchant by profession in the Holland. During his period 1632 to 1723, he used his spare time in preparing different refractile objectives, giving the new look and anticipating enhancement in usefulness in their course by grinding the lenses, and become able to invent the first microscope, through which the first of all he recognized the male spermatozoa. Likely, the Malpighi, you will find the Malpighian body is a prominent part, prominent name in further study. But here it is relevant to say that Marcello Malpighi is regarded as father of histology. It means histological study was bound by him. Friends, till now we have described the history of the medicine, which was strictly concerned with the context of the pathology. Now, to start the pathology strictly, we have to subgroup the pathology into basically two gross groups: the general pathology and microbiology. In general pathology, we discuss or describe all those principles which has already been established, while under microbiology, it is further subdivided into the part, the bacteriology, parasitology, virology, and we study the different corresponding substances under these subjects. So, at first, we have to start the study of pathology from the study of general pathology. So, to start with the study in the general pathology, the pathological condition may be correlated at first with the term degeneration. Degeneration, as you describe the name, in regard to study the pathology, it is usual to start with the basic pathological condition, and that is degeneration. Generation, formation, degeneration, anything away from the formation, disturbed formation, and regeneration, when that disturbed formative condition is again repaired, that is regeneration. So, every pathological condition is subjected to start with the condition of degeneration. Now, you have to know what is degeneration. When the cell or a group of cells is brought under exposure of certain sublethal injury, certain retrograde, and that is called degenerative changes. The retrograde, retro, backward, grade, gradation means the normal grade of the grade means status of the health. If that deviates from that status, that is retrogradation, and if it is again recouped, it is upgradation. It means under influence of certain sublethal injury, lethal, which can destroy to greatest extent, but not kill. That is sublethal. Lethal means which can kill. It means when the cell of the body is brought under exposure of any sublethal injury, certain retrograde changes takes place, and this is called the degeneration. And this degenerative process is the initiative of pathological change. Whatsoever be the factor, it produces the pathogenesis owing to this particular way. Now, this would be the next class. This would be the subject matter for the discussion in the next class. I think you must make up your mind to study the pathology, so you must review yourself in this regard, and we shall further continue the study in regard with this degeneration. Thank you.